Hello, everyone. My name is Hamid Khoshtiar, and I'm a translator and cultural mediator for Mission Wing Foundation. I'm living in city of Harmanli, near to the biggest camp in Bulgaria. We have a small office out of the camp in the city, and for past 4 years, I was working with refugees and asylum seekers in city of Harmanli and generally in Bulgaria. Very fast, I'm going to start my presentation. And according to that, we are going forward. And if you have some question after that, most probably I will be online available and to answer your question. Okay. Uh, so, uh, the first things I want to say that in this presentation, I'm focused more about unaccompanied minors from Afghanistan and Syria. The rest of the countries is not in this presentation. And generally, we have uh, two kind of uh, two kind of unaccompanied minors, let's say. Uh, those who are waiting for Dublin procedure, they have relatives somewhere else in Europe, and those who are having the normal procedure of asylum seeking. And I'm going to talk more about the difference of vision between these two groups and the different pressure they faced in reception centers. Okay, so uh, first, I'm going to talk about Dublin procedure. Generally, they are waiting around a year, something more or less, until the procedure finish and they move to another country. Uh, and here is a great opportunities uh, for two different topics. First is to start taking steps to continue their education that which and also it's leading their future cultural path. These two topic, but the cultural path by cultural I mean that the culture based on common values in Europe. Uh, because so many times we try to understand their culture, we try to recognize their culture, but I don't see that much effort to introduce the values in Europe and the culture in Europe generally to them. And for example, I want to make an example about it that here in Europe, freedom of expression, freedom of speech, and different kind of freedom are values that we are not going to introduce it to them. So later, when they are going to society, because they are unaccompanied minors, in one hand, the family or the people they are living or the community asking them to have their traditional culture. In other hand, the society asking them to have the host society culture, and they have to choose between them somehow, and they cannot choose between them. So this is the reason I'm saying that it will be good if we start to introduce the values in Europe to them from now, so they can find the ground between. In that purpose, for one option, in my opinion, is to engage them more with other Bulgarian children. Yeah, I know that they cannot learn language in 1 year, but uh, we can, I would say, we can teach these things in practice about the values and spending time together, about teamwork. So I think this 1 year, with the help of the schools, instead of focusing more about language, it will be better if we try to teach them these values and culture and teamwork in practical way. The other option for that is foster care, because they will stay here for around 1 year, and we know that they are not going to run away for any reason. Most probably, they will not leave country illegally. So this is a good time to test about foster care and see the result of that, because when they feel in family, they will empower themselves. So many times I saw that the children, especially among Afghanis, that the parents and the families from 1,000 kilometers away, force them to leave the country, and this is not good. But providing them with foster care will give them the opportunity to live in multicultural, I would say, place, and they will understand the capacity of multicultural, living in multicultural society, and also they will feel, I would say, safer, and they can understand and learn better when they are in safe space. So now I'm going to talk about children who are under asylum procedure. So for them, it's different. For example, for most of the unaccompanied minors from Syria, most of them will spend something around uh, 8 months or more until their family join them. So the first purpose for unaccompanied minors from Syria is for family reunification, and most of them will stay in detention, in reception centers or safe zone for unaccompanied minors until the family join them. And I think for them the main risk coming from community itself. Usually they are, how to say, they are traveling here with a member of family, like a cousin or sometimes more far relatives, but somehow relatives. And the parents trust them, how to say, to accompany them here. But the matter is, I didn't saw until now that the parents send their daughters with these relatives. For boy, yes, but for girl, no. So, in my opinion, this is the real level of trust. This is the real level of trust of the parents towards their relatives. So, I don't think that community and relatives is reliable in this for them, for unaccompanied minors from Syria, and because when some incident happens, some problem appear, these relatives usually are not there, or if they be there, they try to hide things, and sometimes even some worse decision might happen that they try to solve the problem themselves. So uh, this is one aspect about it, and also for sometimes the family forced the unaccompanied minors from Syria to leave Bulgaria to destination country, most usually Germany, because if they be able to join the unaccompanied minors in Germany, it will be cheaper for them. And not all of the unaccompanied minors from Syria, but some of them taking this path. Last year, we know the number will be more than but we know that 3 or 4 unaccompanied minors passed away on the way. In one of them in the forest, another one in the river. But this is the number that we know about it. For sure, it's more than that. By we, I mean mission wings. This information that I'm providing you is just things that we heard, but for sure it's more than that. And again, this will put them in the risk to take a danger of, I would say, leaving Bulgaria and try to run away to West Europe with traffickers. So, in my opinion, generally, if I want to summarize it, for unaccompanied minors from Syria, most of the risk come from community. We know about so many sexual violence and also blackmailing and yes, for sure, when we know about it or when social worker in the camp or authority in the camp understand about it, they will take an action. But the problem is that the incident that we discover or we will understand about it is just very tiny portion of what really happened, because most of the cases they will not say us. They will not say anybody. And also, this is exactly where the relatives try to hide everything or they try to solve the problem themselves. After that, we have unaccompanied minors from Afghanistan. Uh, unaccompanied minors from Afghanistan, generally they believe that they don't have any chance in Bulgaria, and even if they have, they cannot build a future for themselves. So, this is a heaven that traffic created for them somewhere else, and this rumors, this how to say, just saying this without even try it, put them in very high risk, because unaccompanied minors usually, how to say, weaker than the other. The other members are stronger; they can survive more in nature, but for unaccompanied minors, they are softer and they are more in danger. And plus, when some things happen, usually unaccompanied minors will left behind the group, and this is how to say, very high risk for them. But generally, when I was talking with unaccompanied minors from Afghanistan, all of them are strongly searching for education. Uh, but usually they will fail because they lost some years during the way, so they cannot finish their education. But they like it; they look it like investment for the future. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little about the difference of vision. Uh, for both group, living in an unstable situation for a long time, and being under extreme mental condition and pressure, I would say, uh, this mental pressure and mental condition uh, coming from the time they're spending on the way. So it's how to say, part of them are on the way, so they are pieces by pieces left themselves on the way, and when they reach some countries they are totally broken. But also, when I'm talking with them, with unaccompanied minors from Syria and Afghanistan, I see somehow the parents or previous generation wishes in them. For example, for unaccompanied minors from Syria, because they live for a long time in another country like Turkey, or they left without any kind of uh, aid for life, like electricity, water, or something like this. Uh, so the first thing to come to their mind is survival. So I can say that for them, the first priority in their mind is to survive. Uh, and so it's lit that for them the meaning of the word future be short term. And also, when I'm talking with the family members, when we're talking with family members, we see that also the family members doesn't have a clear vision for future. So for unaccompanied minors from Syria, the future is short term, and it will be very good if, by some practical way or other ways, we try to take their focus from survival level to any other topic. Doesn't matter. Just to change it from survivor to any other things will be so helpful. And about unaccompanied minors from Afghanistan, because before Taliban, how to say, took power in Afghanistan, they had a life. They was going to school. They was how to say, society was normal. The situation was normal. So they still have a mind about future. This is the reason they searching for education, because this is like an investment for them. Uh, but we know that it's not usually happening because they losing their golden age on the way 2 3 years, and but this is another topic. But the problem or the situation with unaccompanied from Afghanistan is that first they have responsibilities more than their age. They're usually premature. Usually they're smoking more, and they have problem about this decision making. Greatly, they have problem about decision making that put them in very high risk. By problem about decision making, I'm trying to say that the influence of family from uh, country of origin over them is too much. For example, there was a boy, 11 years, that he had a car accident. So I know him in hospital. I met him in hospital. After that, he be registered. He was in very bad condition. He go to the camp. After that, he tried to leave Bulgaria again. There was another dog attack again in hospital. And after that, finally, he left Bulgaria. But before he leaving Bulgaria, I was talking with him, and I asked him, "You don't afraid of taking this path, taking this way?" He said, "Yes, I'm afraid, but the God is great." Somehow, he said that I don't have any other option. And after that, during the conversation, uh, I tried to ask him, what is your parents' opinion about it? And different way, but the concept of his answer was that I tried to convince them to stay, but they told me to leave. So, these unaccompanied minors, especially from Afghanistan, they need to be stronger in front of their family members, and they don't have any help for that. And because general belief is that Bulgaria is not, how to say, they're not going to protect you, and they're not going to, you will not have any future in Bulgaria. I'm not saying that this is correct, but this is what they believe. This is somehow what traffickers and, I would say, other people put in their mind. They create a heaven from uh, other countries, and they just searching for that heaven that we know it's not exist. But the matter is, we need to empower them somehow to for them to be able to stand in front of the family and try to make better decision for themselves. And in my opinion, uh, decision making is the highest risk for them. The lack of decision making actually is the highest risk for unaccompanied minors from Afghanistan. And after that, I'm going to talk about the pressure in reception center. The pressure in reception centers. So there is two. I'm divide them in two different category again, but not by country, but by decision. So some of them, how to say, want to leave, mostly unaccompanied minors from Afghanistan, and the second group who want to stay. About those who want to leave, usually they will make new group uh, in reception centers, and unaccompanied minors is the most vulnerable part of this group. And in the future, they will face with the greatest danger. And so, for unaccompanied minors who intend to leave, again, the high risk for them are coming from lack of options and lack of correct information. I know that there is a lot of information for them, but the matter is, this information should be divided in different way, in my opinion. Uh, and one time all the information, but partly and continues to repeat. Also, it should be in an interactive way. not just to say them once through a translator, and after that to be hopeful that they will understand it. And also part of that information might be about that they have a chance in Bulgaria, they can create their future in Bulgaria, and also this should happen in an interactive way because gaining their trust is very hard, and fighting with those rumors and the heaven who traffickers create for them is really very hard. And to gain their trust, we need to, I would say, we need to a lot of uh, effort. Uh, and also because I mentioned that they don't have any other option. Because they don't have any other option, as I mentioned before, they cannot defend themselves in front of their parents. And this is another thing that we can work on it, and like a brainstorming. So the second type of how to say pressure in the camp is for uh, those unaccompanied minors who want to stay. Um, so so first of all, they have a lot of free time, and they are still close to community, which, as I said before, uh, only they only can meet and communicate with those people. So having a lot of free time, uh, being so much close to community and only communicate with them will put them in a situation where they have to find a solution of the problem only by their own community. And because of the cultural issue, usually it fails. Usually they facing new problems, different problems with different rules, with in different society, and the solution come from community usually fails. Uh, Again, I want to mention that yes, I know that so many stakeholders try to do something on this, but we just discover a very small portion of it. And also, beside it, most of the stakeholders are now working with full capacity or even more than that. So, this year the number increased a lot, and it's make, for example, all the stakeholders to work with overcapacity, and this huge amount of people that this year we face with somehow use all the resources, especially translators. Especially translators is very important. Uh, but beside it, the matter of trust is very important, and how to say somehow because they cannot make a separation between those people who work with them, they have a problem about trusting. For example, a security personnel in the camp is same with the manager of the camp, and same with a social worker in the camp, and it's same with the social worker, for example, from municipality and all other, I would say, all other stakeholders. For them, they cannot separate them. And this is how to say, this is something need a lot of how to direct working with them in the field to make sure that they will understand this difference, who doing what, who have what task, who have what kind of work to do with them, and how one person or the other person can help them in which field. So, for example, it will be good if they know that a lawyer that they have or representative doing what and this other person doing what. This is very important. So they've been able to make separation between people who are working with them, and uh, and also another problem or danger or risk for those unaccompanied minors who, how to say, staying in the reception centers generally come from community itself. I mentioned before, I want to mention it again here that we was hearing about blackmailing and also about sexual abuse. That usually they are not going to share it with other people without trusting them. So this is the reason I'm saying that gaining their trust is very important, and that separation is very important. Okay, so now we're reaching to the golden question of what is the best interest for them. I hear different answer for this question from different stakeholders, and I think this is the most important question we should ask us, that what is really best interest for them. This is a question that you can, how say, you can find the answer as expert at your work. Also, this is a question that you can find the answer as a citizen of European Union. And also, this is a question that you can answer it, find the answer as a human. So, three different way of looking on it we have in front of us. But I think we need to have more debate about it, different stakeholder to talk more about it, to find the best interest for them, what the real best interest for them. And again, I want to say that like a foster care system, like a test can be very helpful in my opinion about it. And we can start to test it by those who are waiting for a double procedure to join their family in another country and they will stay here for a year. And I think it's going to work better uh, and better. And also, I think when we are answering this question of what is the best interest for them, we should have in our mind that what we should do to decrease the influence of the parents from abroad. And also, when we answering this question, what is the best interest for them, it will be good if we think about how we can empower them to be able to stand and make a better decision for themselves. And with this, I'm going to finish my presentation. Thank you so much for your time. And I'm sorry that I wasn't able to meet you in person, but it's my pleasure to soon to meet you in person. Thank you so much.